To today's webinar, we're going to talk about Microsoft 365, useful features, and in some cases, important productivity features in Microsoft Office and Outlook. So I want to welcome everybody. My name is Ray Kuhl. I'm the CEO of PBSI Technology Solutions. Many of you, thank you very much, are longtime clients. Some are new clients, and for many of you, this is your first exposure to PBSI. Our goal today, as with all of the webinars we do, is to provide useful information to help each of you improve your productivity and, in a lot of cases, security. Today, we're going to talk about productivity. We learn all the time at PBSI. I'm a constant learner. Our R&D team learns all the time. Today, we're going to talk about some of the features in Outlook and Office that are my particular favorites. I'm a productivity nut, kind of, and you may see that in today's discussion. I will say that I'm certain some of the things we'll talk about today, everyone in attendance will say, yeah, I already knew that. So forgive me in advance for that. But my bet is, and my hope in providing this content is that each of you will come away with at least one thing. You'll say, oh, okay, I didn't know how to do that. That's going to help me. And that's the goal. So we're going to talk about settings in Outlook and some features that a couple of them are new. We're going to talk about File Explorer, how to be more efficient in searching files on our network. Some other Windows and Office features that I think are important. Hopefully they'll be of interest. And we'll just talk briefly about email security in a quick review because it's so important. And once again, we continue to learn as a Microsoft partner where they're headed with their Office and 365 strategy, and we'll share where we see that going, where they tell us that it's going. So thank you for joining. I will dive in. For those of you not familiar with PBSI, we're a technology services provider. We have hundreds of clients in healthcare, business, nonprofit, professional firms in Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. And as CEO, you've heard me say this before, but it is true. I am blessed to be able to say and know that the large percentage of our staff have been with PBSI for 10 years or more. And I know that knowledge helps clients. So I'm thankful for our staff, and chances are if you're a client, you are too. We do Microsoft 365 help desk support and licensing as a part of what we do. And I see that the expertise that we've gained has really helped clients in a number of areas. When somebody comes to us, their use of Microsoft 365 tends to be less effective than it is after someone becomes a client. And yet, some of you may be listening, you're 365 users, you're PBSI clients, and your use might not be as effective as you would desire. Well, that's kind of the purpose of today, is to help productivity. So thanks for joining. First topic, we're going to review some Outlook useful features and settings. So some of these are of varying importance, but I'm going to talk about focused inbox, inbox spacing, single and multi-line spacing, reading pane. These are pretty straightforward things, but Microsoft's made some changes that you may think, I don't know how to fix that. So I'm going to go to my inbox and just look at view settings. So in my settings in Outlook, I have single spacing, I have a reading pane on the right-hand side, and I have a folder pane on the left-hand side. There's more than one way to set this up, and I'm not saying you should do it the way I do. But to change these, the View tab is your main tab. So the first thing, focused versus other. I show focused inbox and other inbox. You can toggle that, becomes all and unread. I prefer the focus. It's a really nice feature. And what happens here is the other tab contains emails that aren't spam, they aren't junk. There are things I've subscribed to, Adobe stock or a couple of security vendors. These are things that I might want to look at. I just don't want them to interrupt my day when I'm doing more important things. So I can move any email that comes into my focused inbox. I could right click and make a change. I could do the same thing here. So if I wanted emails from Adobe stock to go to my main inbox, I would right click on that message and I would say always move to focus or always move to other. And it's already in other, so I'm not going to make that change. But if I said always move to focus next time I get one, it would come into this inbox. So it's a pretty straightforward way. As you get an email from somebody you care about, here's not a bad example for me, our 401k plan. I'm going to go ahead and move that, always move to other. So now next time it comes in, it'll be in the other tab. Simple, but it's a setting that some people don't know about. Tighter spacing, not tighter spacing. I have tighter spacing. I prefer it because I get more on my screen. But again, in View, you click Toggle, and if your screen looks like this and you're wondering why it doesn't fit as many emails as it used to, tighter spacing. That's your choice. These settings, folder pane, reading pane, to do, so you can change your whether or not you have a reading pane that displays the contents of an email in advance. You can change the size of this. You're probably aware of this. You can change the columns that show up and the size of the columns. These are all kind of important, and I'm not going to spend a lot more time there. One other thing is, when Outlook is first installed for someone, when you start a new email, the copy and blind copy aren't enabled. So you can set that now by simply saying insert, and then once you do that, it will always be there. So if you don't have the ability to do copy or blind copy, you'll appreciate that possibly. Okay, so I'm going to move quickly through a lot of these topics, and so we've talked about some view settings. Spam cleanup, it's important for all of us. We all get too many spam emails, but a couple of important things. There's a process to go through to manage your spam. Microsoft does a really good job. This used to be much more of a problem, spam management, than it is today. And PBSI can help in customizing your spam filters. So if you want to have us look at making changes so you get more or less spam, we're happy to help, and we can. But spam filters generally today are set to Microsoft default standards. Spam comes in two ways. One, quarantine emails, and two, junk folder. So quarantine email, you get these, unless you have a setting change, you get these once a night usually, and they include spam. They're almost always spam, but I do advocate, and I look at this every night. So here's my quarantine email that I got last night, and it says review these messages, and I just review down, they're all junk. Well, this messages at Digital Shadows is actually a security company, and I might want to look at that, so I release. Now, it's not frequent that I find that that is necessary to override the spam filter, but it is an option. And we find that false positives exist. A false positive will happen with any and every spam filter. That's where an email from a legitimate source will be marked as spam, or it will go into a quarantine folder when it shouldn't be there. And if you don't see it, who knows what email was missed. So it's a simple thing, recommend you look at that. Junk folder, very similarly, we get way too much junk, but there's a specific manner of emptying your junk folder, which hopefully you know, maybe you don't. I'll go to my inbox, and I have a junk email folder. Right now it's got 28 in it. When I click on it, here's all the junk. So it's really quick and easy to view these. If you haven't set your junk folder to view one line, I'd recommend it, because otherwise, if you have the view setting to either not use tighter spacing or to use more than one line view, then it's just going to take more space on your screen. I'm going to look down here quickly and say, okay, all of these are junk. I know where these, I've seen these before. Here's the important thing that I want to share is, in order to empty this folder, I'm going to right click and say empty folder. And what that does is it completely eliminates that, and it never sends those to my deleted items. If I instead had selected them all and deleted them, my deleted folder would grow, and that would still be in my email. So in your junk folder, right click and say empty folder. So hopefully that's information most of you already know, but that's a process. So how do you manage junk? A couple other key things. Signatures, as you see, we see all manner of different signatures. Some people don't have signatures, some people do, some people's signatures are quite professional looking, and that's all a matter of subjective opinion. But I just want to identify, how do you change one, add one, or start or stop using one. So I'm going to, and there are instructions here. There is a handout. There are 3 handouts associated with today's webinar, and it basically summarizes the things that we're talking about. So view settings, spam settings, a couple other things. Those will all be in your handout today. that you can download now, or you can download at the end anytime you wish during the webinar. So when I start a new email, if I, my topic here is signatures. So when I start a new email, I have a default signature, and that's set through options. So if you don't have a signature, or you don't like the way your signature looks, you want to put a logo in your signature, you can add a signature. So let's say mine wasn't here. I can, insert signature, and then I can choose from signatures. So I have the normal one I use is this. It's got a signature with a different font, but I can also go to signatures and manage them. And this is what, I have a text-only signature because some spam filters don't like colors and fonts and links. I have my normal. I have one that includes our address. I have one that is an image, which again is done for, I don't use these very frequently, but I have different signatures I can pick from. My normal default is coming from this email address, and the one that goes by default out with new messages and with replies is the same. So you can add a new signature and copy and paste and format anything you want to, and that would create another one of these that you can pick from. So you can change your own signature if you wish to. So I know I'm going back and forth between several screens here. Drafts, this is something I use for productivity all the time. The idea here is storing structured communication. If you find yourself typing the same thing, when you get a new client, you have a certain set of communications. I think of structured communication as something I'm going to do more than once, and so I create drafts. And I'm not suggesting you do what I do. What I do may be poor and not the ideal, pardon me. But I have a folder which I keep under my favorites called drafts. I have 28 of them. I know how many I keep there. Sometimes I add new ones. And here's one where information that I want to send to a new client to find out billing preferences. So I have a structured communication that when I'm ready to send this, I will copy this into a real email to a real person, and then I'll modify it. Because though this is structured, I want to know from a new customer, how do you want your invoices to be received, and how do you want webinar invitations to be received? The point is that it's easier to remove things than it is to add things. So I keep more in my draft than I might use for that particular communication. And in the same way, I have these for all kinds of different issues. If I want to send a new client, welcome to PBSI, there's certain things I want a new client to know, and many of you have seen this from me, and I'm pretty sure you knew I didn't type it all for you, but I do customize it. I make sure that it's really appropriate, but I keep the draft there so I can make changes to the draft and save it. But when I'm going to send a new email, I will copy the contents of my email, save the draft unchanged. Nothing was changed there. Create a new email and paste the draft in there, so the draft remains where it was, and now I'm going to customize this to whoever the recipient is. Straightforward idea, but the more things you find yourself repetitively typing, keeping a draft out there for different topics, I find really helpful. So it's something I wanted to cover. Again, you're getting Ray's favorites when we're talking about things that you can do. So speak your email and listen to your email. I don't care so much about listening to an email, but speaking an email, I'm using remote connection here. So I'm going to go to my home PC where I also have my Microsoft Outlook. And I'm going to start a new email. I'll send it to myself. And I'm going to use this option that you will find in your inbox as well, called Dictate. This didn't used to be there. I'm not sure exactly when Microsoft added it. When I want to use my voice instead of typing, I simply click this button and you'll see what happens. Message to myself. Ray, I wanted you to know that it's a little silly to send a message to yourself, period, new paragraph. However, whenever you want to do this, you're free to do so, period. And so forth. So that is oh, excuse me, and then I turn my microphone off, or it keeps going. Does a really, really good job. You may know that Microsoft recently purchased Nuance Communications. Nuance is a manufacturer of Dragon in its various versions. Those of you who are in healthcare are very familiar with Dragon Medical. It's the greatest tech product on earth, and this uses the same underlying technology. However, it doesn't have the same dictionaries, filters, templates. There are all kind of things in the Dragon versions that are hugely beneficial. But as far as just recognizing your voice and allowing you to speak, this is great technology, and Nuance was purchased by Microsoft because the technology is so excellent. The same technology is used in Siri and so forth. But you can speak your emails by using that dictate button. So I'm now going to return and move on. Okay, so Outlook settings, hope some of those are helpful to you. So there's a handout for that as well. We're going to move on, and I'm going to talk about use of links in quick access. So this is a topic, if you find yourself going to the same folders and subfolders on a repetitive basis, and you're always drilling in and drilling in and drilling in, I hate that repetitive thing. So I, years ago, set up these links to save keystrokes, and we've distributed this among PBSI employees. So we have groups of links. I'm going to talk about what I'm going to demonstrate what I'm referring to here. We want to save repetitive keystrokes while we're searching for files. It takes a few minutes of setup time, but then you're saving time every day. And so here's how it works. Quick access setup is a part of File Explorer in Windows 10. So most of us have File Explorer in our taskbar, and I want to begin by creating quick access links, and then I'm going to use the quick access links. So the process looks like this in use. Here's my File Explorer, and you see under my quick access, I have something called links. I have documents, I have just a minor set of stuff, but I only go to links. So links, I can go straight to the subfolder that has PBSI financials. I can go straight to the subfolder that has sales reports for this group. I can go straight to the subfolder that has PBSI solutions documents. PBSI solutions are in a subfolder under our shared E drive folder called company documents, sales literature, PBSI solutions, but rather than go through that click, 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 I save these under one link. So how did I do that? I created a blank file called alinksray. We actually have this same kind of thing created for other employee groups. So if I go in PBSI to company-wide documents, we have a folder there called links for all job groups. So if I wanted, and the links for our hardware support team are these set of links. It's a different set of stuff because they're looking at different stuff than Ray typically is. So if I want to go here and move this set of links now to Ray's PC, I can simply drag this over under my quick access, and now I have that set of links. So once you've set these up, you can share them among other staff really easily. So I'm not going to save that one because I have my own set of links. I would either add or remove these by saying pin or unpin from quick access. So setting up links. The manual way to do it is to go down to my PC, go to the shared drive, go to this folder and so forth, and subfolder, and it's just a lot less work when you set up the links. So the instructions on how to do this, I won't go through this, but it's quite straightforward. When you add a new link to a folder, you right-click in the area of the folder and you say New Shortcut. That's what a link is. And then you browse to find what it is that you want. And one time, you have to go down all the way through the drilling process. And if I wanted to set up a link to Pricebook, I would do that. And next, this is now called the name of that folder, but I want to call it Ray's Book. So the folder name remains what it was, but now when I add it, here's Ray's Pricebook, and it goes to that place. So I just added that link. I'm going to undo that because I don't want that link at all on my PC. I already have a link there, but in that way, I've added a brand new, I've changed the link folder, and I'm going to clean that up for myself so I don't cause myself a problem later. So use quick access. So quick access, once again, for those who don't know, quick access is when you go to File Explorer on your PC, quick access is up here at the top, and you can drag things up there. You could drag your desktop up there, and you can remove things. So if I don't want my iCloud photos here, I could remove that and it would no longer be on my quick access. I like to keep that list short so that when I click on links, there's the set of stuff that I really, 90% of my searches are in one of those subfolders. Okay. And again, there's a handout about how to do what I just did. So moving on, 3 separate favorites of mine. One is in all Office apps, I use the quick access toolbar. So Microsoft naming can be confusing. File Explorer, quick access is something different. Quick access toolbars are something that are in every Office app, and a lot of people don't use them at all. I really do use them because they consolidate choices that are on various menus. So to set up and use quick access toolbars, I'm going to go to an Office app. So here's a Word document, and there is, you see this line right here. If I right click, it's called ribbon line or quick access. And so the ribbon line here, I can customize, or I can do the same thing by, say, customize the quick access toolbar here. And if I say more commands, I can modify the things that are on this line. Well, what I do is when I'm doing a Word document, there are several formatting commands, the format painter, colors, highlights, bolding, that I don't want to have to go back to the Home tab in order to see them. So there are things on the Insert tab, things on the Design tab. For me, I keep everything I use commonly on this quick access folder. So what does this look like? If I want to, then I've customized this on my PC at work. Now I get a laptop. Now I get a home PC. I have to go through the whole same set of stuff again. So what I can do is more commands, import or export. If I'm not sure what the name of this particular toolbar is, I choose export, and it tells me that this is called Word customizations. Okay, now I know what I want. So if I wanted to import, let's say I completely eliminated this and I wanted to get new quick access from what I'd stored previously. I want more commands. This time I'm going to import, and you'll have more context with what I'm doing now. I'm going to a network folder at PBSI under company-wide, where we keep it's called Office Access. I don't go here very frequently, obviously. MS Office customizations for ribbon line. So in here, I want to import the group of things called Word customizations. And what I've just done is replaced whatever I had with the customizations that are stored out there. So in the same way, whenever I modify my access bar for Word, I go out and I store it in that shared folder, and then everybody can use the same access bars. And these work across Office versions. I'm not sure that what I just demonstrated was clear, but the point is there's a way you can save yourself time when you set up a new version of Office on a new PC. Okay, moving on to a Word format. I know for years, years ago, we used to use WordPerfect, and the main reason was it was really easy to have a file name and path in the bottom of a document. Why would you want to do that? Most of you know this. You have a printed piece of paper in front of you. It's a procedure that somebody created, and you'd like to modify the procedure, but you don't know where this is stored on your network or in your file folder structure. So you'd like to have the path of that file and possibly page numbers in the document. So here are the instructions. And again, there's a handout that tells you how to do this. But I've set up this Word document here that it's a test document called New Procedure for Order Processing, and I've put today's date in there, which I think is a useful thing to do in procedure documents. And now I want to do this. There's at the bottom of this folder, if I were to print this, there is no footer, there's no page numbers, none of that exists in this document. So if I want to add those, I will follow my instructions, I'll go to insert, footer, and these instructions are both in the PowerPoint and they're in the handout. Edit footer, and here I am in the footer, and now I'm going to choose, if I want to choose quick parts, and I can choose auto text. I can choose, I'm looking at my instructions because I don't remember this. I can choose field, path. I know this is a little complicated, but pretty much that's why I'm going. I could do page number in here. I can do file path, but when I say I want to add that, I choose the format. What do I want this to look like? And make other choices. And now my page number appears, and I can make that be over on the left-hand side and so forth. So add your file name and your path, and it's stored with the document when you save it. So my demonstration, I think, was not very good, but then I close header and footer, and it's stored permanently in the footer of that document on every page. And usually I use the format 1 of 2, 1 of 3, 1 of 4, which is a standard format. Okay, so that's my word tip. Excel. When you receive an Excel file from someone else and you try to print it, sometimes it prints just fine. Sometimes it takes multiple pages and you think, well, that just wasted a bunch of my paper. The reason is because it wasn't formatted, and it's so easy to format a document. I just want to review how this is done. I know that many of you know exactly how to do this, so I apologize for giving you something you already know, but I have a document here that if I want to print, this is just a test document, again, a sample, and if I want to print it, I display, and there are multiple pages, left hand, right hand. Oh my gosh, that's going to be terrible. I don't want that. So the choices that I'm going to go through here are pretty straightforward. I do them all the time. I use this print view, and I choose, instead of normal margins, I choose narrow margins. Well, that helps fit more on the screen. And instead of no scaling, I choose either fit all columns or fit the whole sheet onto one page, fitting all columns. So that's even better, but I would rather, in this case, make this landscape. And so now that's really more appropriate. And when I save this, all those format changes are saved. So if you want to deliver an Excel spreadsheet to someone else, taking the time to do this before you send it to them will help them and help everyone be more efficient. And just one other thing, I have things that I save in my header because I like to format column headings. So I have a box, I have a no box. So you see I can take the box away or I can add the box, and I don't have to drill into other areas to make that happen. I can increase the font, I can decrease the font, I can change the color, I can change the background, and in particular, I think it just helps with formatting. So it involves saving things in your quick access toolbar in order to make this efficient, but the ability to take away boxes, add boxes, format, and so forth, it's a useful thing, and the instructions are in the handout that will provide. So there you go. Those are my helpful tips for today. We're almost finished with content. I want to review for security. We recommend everybody, if you're a PBSI client listening to me and you use Microsoft 365, I want to suggest you get in touch with us and ask us to turn multi-factor authentication on for you. We're seeing more and more email hacks, and multi-factor authentication is where somebody, if you have this turned on, your email can be hacked and you can still suffer no damage. Why is that true? Multi-factor authentication, let's say somebody gains access to your email address and password, and so now they want to send an email from you to your employees or to someone else. When they try to do that, multi-factor authentication being turned on says, I've got to communicate with the owner of this on their mobile, and I'm going to tell them that your email is being used from a PC in Florida. Is that okay? And of course, you're going to say no, and the bad guys were thwarted because you have this turned on. It's just an important thing. And you've heard me talk in the past. If you've ever attended one of my webinars, I talk about click protection all the time in email. Click mistakes in emails are easily avoiding the click mistake is one thing, but the prevention of damage when you do click is something that requires this $2 add-on called Microsoft Defender for Office 365. It used to be called ATP Advanced Threat Protection. I won't go through these others, but they're included in PowerPoint, which you're welcome to ask for a slide deck for today. And so last topic is, where is Microsoft headed? It is clear they're moving to a subscription model. And frankly, they've done a good job pricing-wise. They provide good value. But the latest versions of Office, when the next version comes out, it will be more and more, as was true last time, it's a subset. So the same feature set in 365 is no longer included in the purchased apps. What we see happening, though, is there are increasing features that are only made available in 365, and there are increasing security settings that are only available in 365. So the bottom line to all this is know that next time you replace a PC, we recommend no more purchasing of single licenses. You can purchase Microsoft Office 2019 for $250 or $230 and avoid a subscription fee, but that doesn't take care of your email. It doesn't take care of ongoing enhancements, and instead, the alternative cost just for Office is $8.50 a month. So without belaboring this, where this really comes home for most of us is next time you buy a PC, we'd recommend you put a subscription license of 365 on there instead of Microsoft Office. So that is all the content today. Summarizing, we talked about some Outlook view settings. We talked about how to set up File Explorer to use quick access. Talked about some settings to improve some efficiency in File Explorer, Word, and Excel. A little bit about email security. And that is our content for today. So I want to thank you for your attendance. Hope you found this valuable. I'm going to stop for questions now, but before I do that, I'm going to stop recording. So thanks for your attendance. Hope everybody has a good day.